3 teeth on the floor, 2 broken noses, 1 expelled cheerleader, all because they touched my hair. My name is Hannah Peterson, and this is how I sent the most popular girl in school to the emergency room with a single kick. The sound of enamel hitting linoleum echoes in my memory like a gunshot. Even now, 6 months later, I can still hear Samantha Morrison's scream cutting through the biology lab. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Rewind 47 minutes. 4th period biology. Victoria Sullivan standing behind me with scissors, about to make the biggest mistake of her 17-year-old life. That fake platinum hair ends today, she whispered, loud enough for her crew to hear, but thinking I couldn't. See, everyone thought my silver-white hair was dyed. They were wrong, dead wrong, and they were about to find out I'd been hiding something much more dangerous than a genetic condition. Snipe, 18 inches gone. My hearing aid hit the floor too, tangled in the severed strands. Yeah, surprise. I'm partially deaf. The whole class erupted in laughter. For exactly 4 seconds, I stood up slowly, deliberately. 10 years of taekwondo, 3 black belts, 1 dead mother who made me promise to never use it unless absolutely necessary. My knuckles cracked as I flexed my fingers. Sorry, Mom. What happened next made our school's zero-tolerance policy on violence look like a suggestion. But to understand why I snapped, why quiet little Hannah Peterson turned into what the paramedics called a one-person riot, you need to know the whole story. Plot twist 1. I'm not naturally quiet. I literally can't hear half your conversations. Plot twist 2. My dad's an ex-Marine with the same condition. Yeah, silver hair runs in the family. Plot twist 3. Victoria's mom would later try to sue me for her daughter's dental reconstruction. But the biggest twist, the quiet Asian girl who filmed everything would become my best friend and Victoria's worst nightmare on social media. Want to know how a 5'3" girl with a hearing disability dropped 3 athletes in under 10 seconds? Let's start from the beginning, the real beginning, before we dive into this wild story. Can I share something real quick? You know, creating these stories takes a lot of heart and research. Every single one is based on real experiences people have shared with me. Kids who've been bullied for being different. Warriors who found their strength in the darkest moments. If this story touches you, hits different, or reminds you of your own battles, drop a comment below. I read every single one. And honestly, your stories inspire the next ones I tell. Age 4, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. Mom gripping my hand so tight I thought she might break it, as Dr. Williams explained why I was different. Waardenburg syndrome, he said, pointing at charts I couldn't read yet. 1 in 40,000. The white forelock is actually the least of our concerns. The steady beep of medical equipment filled the silence. Mom's breathing hitched. The hearing loss will be the main challenge. 40% deficit in her left ear, 20 in her right. But here's something interesting. He pulled up a brain scan. Her spatial processing is remarkably developed. It's like her brain is compensating. Mommy, why can't I hear Miss Jennifer when she talks on my left side? I asked, not understanding why this made her cry harder. You're going to learn differently, baby. But different doesn't mean less than. Remember that. Different doesn't mean less than. She enrolled me in martial arts the next week. Master Kim's Taekwondo Academy, the one in the strip mall between the nail salon and the Chinese takeout place. If you can't always hear danger coming, Mom explained, buckling me into my car seat after my first class. "You need to see it. You need to feel it in the air." Turns out, being partially deaf made me a better fighter. No distractions from the shouting, no flinching at loud noises I couldn't fully hear anyway. Just pure focus on movement, distance, timing. My instructor called me a natural. Mom called it adaptation. But Mom didn't live long enough to see just how good I'd become. Rebecca Santos. Peterson wasn't just my mother. She was a trauma nurse at Jefferson Hospital, single parent, and my first hero. When Dad left because he couldn't handle having what he called a defective daughter, she didn't crumble. She transformed. "Hannah, Anak, come here. Let me show you something." She pulled out her laptop one evening when I was 7. The video was grainy, probably transferred from old VHS. College-aged mom, maybe 19, in a white GI with a brown belt. She was smaller than everyone else on the mat. But when the match started, size didn't matter. She flowed like water, used her opponent's strength against them. The crowd erupted when she threw someone twice her size. "I stopped competing when I got pregnant with you," she said, closing the laptop. "But skills like these, they never really leave you. They sleep, waiting until you need them." For 3 years. She trained me herself, every morning at 5 a.m., before her shift at the hospital. Our apartment's living room became a dojo. She taught me breathing exercises for my anxiety, meditation for focus, and forms that looked like dancing but were actually combat techniques. "Muscle memory," she'd say, adjusting my stance, "is stronger than any disability. Your body remembers even when your mind forgets." Then came the diagnosis. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer, 3 months to live. Maybe 6 with treatment. She chose quality over quantity, spending her last days making sure I was prepared for a world without her. "Promise me, Hannah." Her voice was barely a whisper by then. The cancer stealing her strength, but not her spirit. "These skills are for protection, not punishment. Never throw the first punch. Never be the aggressor. But if someone tries to hurt you..." She squeezed my hand with what little strength remained. "You end it, fast. I promise, Mom, never the first punch." She died on a Tuesday in October. The leaves outside the hospice window were the same silver as my hair. Dad came back on Wednesday, reeking of guilt and bringing a woman named Patricia, who looked at me like I was a rabid dog that might bite. Richard Peterson, Marine Corps veteran. Combat tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. Left when I was 2 because genetic differences embarrassed him. He stood in our apartment doorway, his own silver hair dyed an unnatural black, looking at all the photos he wasn't in. "Richard, you didn't mention her hair was that white," Patricia said, not bothering to lower her voice. "What will people think? She's my daughter. Deal with it." His voice had the same command tone I'd hear him use on the phone with his Marine buddies, but I noticed he wouldn't look directly at me. Plot twist that took me years to understand, Dad also had Waardenburg syndrome. He'd been dyeing his hair black since he was 18, before joining the Marines. They didn't care about his partial deafness. He was still an excellent marksman. But abnormal appearance would have been a different story in his generation. That first night in their house, a McMansion in the suburbs that felt like a museum. I pressed my good ear against my bedroom door. A deaf kid with white hair like some kind of anime character. "This isn't what I signed up for." "Richard, then leave." His voice was tired but firm. "I already lost her once because I was a coward. Not again. She's my blood." My responsibility. Your responsibility? Where was that responsibility when her mother was dying? Don't! The word came out like a bullet. Don't you dare! Rebecca told me to stay away, said Hannah didn't need a father who was ashamed of her. She was right, but Rebecca's gone now, and that girl needs family. They stayed together. Somehow, we became a dysfunctional but real family. Dad even started training with me, showing me Marine Corps martial arts techniques that Master Kim definitely didn't approve of. That's not traditional taekwondo, my instructor said after Dad dropped me off one day, watching him walk away with military precision. My dad says real fights aren't traditional either. Master Kim sighed. Your father's not wrong, but be careful with that knowledge. Military fighting is about eliminating threats. Sport fighting is about points. Street fighting, he paused. Street fighting is about survival. Know the difference. My freshman year of high school, I could have competed nationally. My trophy shelf was full of regional championships. Dad had even stopped dyeing his hair, letting his natural silver show. If my daughter can rock it, so can I, he'd say, though Patricia still grimaced every time we went out together looking like some bizarre father-daughter twins. But I chose to hide my abilities. Want to know why? Because of what happened to Luna Chen. Luna Chen, previous owner of the Weird Girl title at Northview High School. Brilliant. Early admission to MIT at 16, purple streak in her black hair. And she made one fatal mistake. She fought back. The local news had a field day with it. Honor student charged with assault after confronting bullies. The shaky cell phone footage showed 3 cheerleaders cornering Luna in the second-floor bathroom. They tried to give her a swirly, that charming tradition of shoving someone's head in a toilet. Luna broke Ashley Morrison's wrist with an Aikido move. Clean self-defense. Anyone could see that. But anyone wasn't paying Ashley's legal fees. My client, an honor student and varsity cheerleader, was viciously attacked by a disturbed individual trained in martial arts. The lawyer said on Channel 6 News, behind him. Ashley wore a cast covered in signatures and a practiced expression of trauma. Luna's family spent $30,000 in legal fees. She got probation, community service, and expelled from Northview. The Bullies. They got a GoFundMe that raised $15,000 for medical expenses and trauma counseling. Ashley's wrist healed in 3 weeks. The cheerleading squad made ribbons with Ashley Strong on them. Luna's last Facebook post before her family moved away. To any weird kids out there, just survive. Fighting back isn't worth it. The system isn't built for us. Trust me. I took Luna's advice to heart. Kept my head down, my skills hidden, my mouth shut, when kids mocked my hair. I smiled when they accidentally bumped into me in the halls. I apologized. When they spread rumors that I was albino or had cancer or was a practicing witch, I ignored them. It worked for exactly 2 years, 1 month and 5 days. Then Victoria Sullivan transferred from Wilmington Preparatory Academy, expelled, the rumors said, for bullying a girl into a suicide attempt. Her parents' solution, public school. Our problem now. To understand what happened that day in biology, you need to understand Victoria, daughter of a pharmaceutical executive and a former Miss Connecticut. Money unlimited. Conscience non-existent. She was beautiful in that manufactured way. All sharp edges and calculated angles, brown hair with professional highlights, clothes that cost more than some kids' cars, and eyes that assessed people like a predator studying prey. Victoria's first week at Northview. She mapped the social hierarchy like a general planning a campaign. She identified the power players, the influencers, the weak links. By week 2, she'd recruited Samantha Morrison. Yeah, Ashley's younger sister, field hockey captain with self-esteem issues hidden behind aggressive confidence. Week 3 brought Chelsea and Megan Reeves, twin sisters desperate for popularity, willing to do anything to sit at the right lunch table. I overheard the recruitment speech, tucked behind the vending machines where I usually ate lunch to avoid the cafeteria politics. "This school is ours for the taking," Victoria said, her voice carrying that particular tone of someone who'd never been told no. "We just need to eliminate the distractions, make people understand the natural order. Starting with that albino freak." "Her name's Hannah," one of the twins said. "Chelsea, I think. She had a tiny scar above her left eyebrow." "Did I ask for its name? Look at her. That white hair, those weird, pale eyes, the way she flinches when people talk on her left side. She's practically begging to be put in her place." The campaign started small. Fake Instagram accounts appeared overnight. Grandma Hannah, Q-tip head, deaf and dumber. The posts were cruel, but uncreative. Mostly. Then came the escalation. Honey poured through the vents of my locker, destroying my textbooks, superglue on my chair in homeroom, dead white mice in my backpack with notes, "Found your family." I documented everything. Photos, screenshots, timestamps. My phone filled with evidence. Dad had taught me that. Actually, intel wins wars. He'd say, "Document everything. Build your case. Strike once with overwhelming force." My folder labeled "Evidence" grew to 47 megabytes, but I still didn't act. Not until they crossed the final line. See, there was something else about my hair that nobody knew. Something that made cutting it absolutely unforgivable. In Mom's Filipino culture, hair held power. She'd braid mine every night when I was little, singing songs her grandmother taught her in Tagalog. 100 brush strokes. She'd count. "Isa, dalawa, tatlo." In the old country, she'd tell me, working coconut oil through the silver strands. They believed a woman's hair held her strength, her spirit. Never let anyone touch it without permission. A knock. It's yours. Part of your soul. After she died, Dad tried to continue the tradition. His big marine hands struggled with the braids, but he tried. Every single night. He'd watch YouTube tutorials, curse under his breath when the sections came out uneven. Start over. "Your mom would want this," he'd say. Tears in his eyes that he'd deny later. "She'd want your hair cared for." The last time Mom was conscious in hospice, she asked for scissors. Asked for them specifically. Wouldn't accept the nurse doing it, with shaking hands. She cut a lock of my silver hair and wrapped it around her wedding ring. The one Dad gave her before he left. The one she never took off, despite everything. "So I can take part of you with me," she whispered. That ring was buried with her, my hair against her heart. My hair wasn't just hair. It was the last thing my mother touched with purpose. The thing that connected me to her memory, her culture, her love. Every strand was a prayer she'd whispered. Every inch held her fingerprints. So when Victoria decided to cut it off, she wasn't just attacking me. She was desecrating a grave. Tuesday, 24 hours before the incident. Lauren Walker pulled me aside after English class, checking over her shoulder like we were spies, exchanging state secrets. "Hannah, I need to tell you something." Her voice shook slightly. I overheard them in the bathroom. Victoria and her crew. They're planning something for tomorrow. Something with scissors. Lauren Walker, the only genuinely kind person in our grade. Her little sister Emma had Wardenberg too. Different expression, though. One bright blue eye, one dark brown. Heterochromia, they called it. She knew the struggle of looking different in a world that worshipped sameness. Thanks for warning me, I said, adjusting my backpack straps. I'll be careful. No, you don't understand. She grabbed my arm, something she'd never done before. Physical contact wasn't big with either of us. Victoria's been researching. She found some article about how hair can grow back darker after trauma. She wants to prove you dye it by cutting it off. She wants to humiliate you. That night, I almost told Dad. Almost. But when I found him, he was in the kitchen with Patricia. Ultrasound photos spread on the table. Her pregnancy had complications. Something about blood pressure and early contractions. His face carried the kind of stress that aged people in dog years. Everything okay? I asked from the doorway. Hey, baby girl. He looked up, forcing a smile. Just baby stuff. Your little brother's being stubborn. How was school? I lied. Fine, just normal stuff. In my room. I stood before my closet. My black belt hung there, next to the medals and trophies I'd hidden from classmates. 10 years of training whispered. You're ready. But Mom's voice was louder. Never the first punch, Anak. Never the first punch. I should have listened to the belt. Wednesday started like any other day. 7:47 a.m. I walked into school with my hair in the tightest bun possible. Hood up despite the warm weather. One earbud in my good ear, the other just for show so people wouldn't try to talk to me from both sides. First period. AP History. Safe. Mr. Rodriguez never left his desk. Too focused on his crossword puzzles to notice student drama. Second period. Calculus. Also safe. Mrs. Kim ran her classroom like a military operation. No talking, no moving, no breathing too loud. Third period, PE. This is where it almost went wrong. But I faked cramps, that universal girl excuse, and Coach Barrett let me sit on the bleachers. Victoria circled below like a shark that smelled blood in the water. She knows, Victoria told her crew, loud enough for me to catch with my good ear. Someone warned her, Chelsea, go check if she's really on her period or just scared. Lunch was where it nearly happened. Cafeteria. Hundreds of witnesses. I thought I was safe in a crowd. Wrong. Victoria accidentally spilled chocolate milk on my hood when I pulled it off, disgusted by the sticky sweetness. She lunged with scissors. Only Coach Barrett, walking by, stopped her. Sullivan, what are you doing with those? Victoria's mask slipped on perfectly. Art project. Coach. Just borrowed them from the art room. You know how Mrs. Henderson is about returning supplies on time. 3 more periods to survive. I started to think I might make it. Even texted Lauren. Crisis averted. Thanks for the heads up. Then came 7th period. Biology with Mr. Graham. 3:17 p.m. We were examining plant cells under microscopes. I was actually interested. The white patches in the variegated leaves reminded me of my hair. Genetic mutations creating patterns that nature never intended, but somehow made beautiful. I let my guard down for 30 seconds. I'll be right back, Mr. Graham announced, already halfway to the door. Coffee emergency, Victoria. You're in charge. Keep working on your slides." The door clicked shut. The room shifted like a tide going out before a tsunami. 23 students. 5 were Victoria's crew. 10 were neutral. Would do nothing either way. 7 might help me, but wouldn't risk their own social standing. Lauren was in the nurse's office with an actual migraine. I was alone. "Now," Victoria commanded. "Hold her chair, Sam." My body knew before my brain processed it. That cold knowledge that comes right before violence. Move! Get up. Run. But my pride, my stupid teenage pride, said, "Don't give them the satisfaction of seeing you run." I felt Samantha's hands grip my chair, heard the scissors open with a metallic whisper, felt the cold metal against the nape of my neck. Time slowed to a crawl. In that moment, I had 3 options: run and be chased forever, marked as prey for the rest of high school, let it happen and die inside, betray my mother's memory and my own dignity, or snip. The sound was obscene, like cutting through everything that mattered. 18 inches of my mother's last blessing hit the floor. My hearing aid fell with it, tangled in the severed strands, and the world went half silent. "Oh shit," someone gasped. "Victoria, you actually did it." Samantha laughed. "That's assault," a brave soul piped up from the back. "Shut up, nerd," one of the twins snapped. In that muffled silence, I heard something clear as a bell, the sound of my promise to Mom shattering like glass. I stood up, slowly, deliberately. For the first time in 3 years, I took a proper fighting stance. "Victoria," I said, my voice carrying a cold I didn't know I possessed. "You just made the worst mistake of your life." She laughed, holding up my severed ponytail like a trophy. "What are you gonna do? Tell your Marine daddy look. Everyone. Black roots. I knew you were fake." The class backed away instinctively as I shifted my weight, centered my breathing the way Mom taught me all those years ago. Samantha still gripped my chair. The twins flanked Victoria. 3 athletes against 1 partially deaf girl. They had no idea what was about to happen. First position, weight distributed 60-40 between back and front leg. Hands up but loose. Master Kim called it ready stance. Dad called it murder position. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead like an audience holding its breath. "Is she having a seizure?" someone whispered. "No, that's martial arts." "Oh, fuck." The recognition in their voices should have satisfied me. 3 years of hiding. And now they'd see. But all I felt was cold purpose. Like Mom's spirit had taken the wheel. Samantha moved first. Field hockey gave her confidence and muscle memory for swinging at things. "Grab the freak," she yelled, releasing my chair to lunge at my shoulders. Time for an anatomy lesson. The human jaw has a breaking point of 150 pounds per square inch. A trained spinning heel kick generates 1,500 pounds per square inch. I pivoted on my left foot, chambered my right leg, and unleashed 10 years of suppressed training. My heel connected with her temporomandibular joint, with a sound like a baseball bat hitting a watermelon. 3 teeth, 2 molars, 1 incisor, ejected from her mouth in a spray of blood and saliva. Samantha's scream cut off as she hit the linoleum, unconscious before she landed. "Samantha!" Chelsea and Megan rushed forward together. Twins often think alike, move alike. Their mistake. Palm strike to Chelsea's solar plexus. That soft spot right below the sternum where all your breath lives. She folded like a broken umbrella. Her twin sister's momentum carried her straight into my rising elbow. Cartilage crunched as her nose exploded in a fountain of red. Both down in 1.3 seconds. Blood on the floor. Someone was screaming. Might have been me. Hard to tell with only one functioning ear. Victoria backed against the lab bench, still clutching my hair. "You're insane! Help! Somebody help!" I advanced, glass crunching under my feet from someone's dropped slide. "Help! Like the help you gave Luna Chen. Like the help you gave that girl at your old school, who tried to kill herself because of you. That wasn't my fault. She was weak. No. I grabbed a lab stool, spun it like a baton. You're weak. Cutting sleeping people's hair. Hiding behind daddy's money. That's weakness." She swung her own stool at my head. I ducked, grabbed the legs, yanked. Physics is beautiful. Her momentum plus my redirect equals Victoria flying backward into the supply cabinet. The crash was symphonic. Glass beakers shattered. Chemical bottles rolled across the floor. She landed in a heap. My ponytail still clutched in her fist, like she thought it would save her. 4 down. 17 witnesses. 0 regrets. I stood in the center of the destruction, breathing hard. My bun had come undone. And what remained of my hair, choppy, uneven, butchered, fell around my face. Someone was sobbing. Several people were on their phones, either calling for help or recording for social media immortality. Everyone against the wall. Now, Principal Morrison burst through the door with 2 school resource officers. The scene must have looked like a war zone. Blood, teeth, broken glass, unconscious teenagers, and me standing in the middle like an avenging angel, or demon, depending on your perspective. "Dear God," Morrison's face went white. "Miss, hands where I can see them." Slowly. Officer Martinez had his hand on his taser, but hadn't drawn it. Smart man. Victoria stirred in the wreckage of the supply cabinet, theatrical sobs starting immediately. She attacked us. We were just studying, and she went crazy. She knows kung fu or something. She could have killed us. Here's the thing about security cameras. Northview High had just upgraded to 4K resolution with full audio. Every word, every action, every second of Victoria cutting my hair. Crystal clear. But Victoria didn't know that. She thought the ancient cameras from Luna Chen's time were still in place. "Check the camera," I said, keeping my hands visible, but relaxed. Northeast corner. It recorded everything. Officer Martinez pulled out his phone, connected to the school's security system. The room watched in silence as the last 10 minutes played back. Victoria's face morphed from fake tears to real panic as her own voice filled the room. "Hold her chair, Sam." "Ma'am?" Officer Martinez turned to Victoria. "You assaulted this young woman first. That's clear battery. Possibly a hate crime given the victim's disability. The harassment campaign leading up to this is also documented." "My mom will sue. My dad knows the mayor. You can't do this to me." Principal Morrison found his voice. "Victoria Sullivan, you're expelled. Effective immediately. Officers, I want charges pressed, and someone call paramedics for the other 3. Speaking of parents, mine were about to arrive. And that's when the real drama started. Dad burst through the door 20 minutes later like he was breaching an enemy compound. Full Marine mode activated. I hadn't seen him like this since some drunk guy grabbed Patricia at a restaurant. His recently revealed silver hair caught the fluorescent lights like armor. Patricia waddled in behind him, 7 months pregnant, and fury radiating from every pore. He saw my butchered hair first. The remains hung in jagged chunks, one side nearly to my ear, the other at my jaw. His face went through several expressions: shock, rage, then that deadly calm that meant someone was about to have a very bad day. Who touched my daughter? Not a question. A threat assessment. Then the Sullivan convoy arrived. Mrs. Sullivan came in like she was walking a red carpet, Botox preventing most facial expressions, Bentley keys jangling, Balenciaga bag worth more than some teacher's monthly salary. Mr. Sullivan followed. Bluetooth earpiece active, already consulting with what sounded like a team of lawyers. "That animal attacked my baby," Mrs. Sullivan shrieked, pointing one manicured finger at me. "Look at her face! Look what she did! We're suing for millions! Assault, attempted murder!" Dad stepped forward, and several people instinctively moved back. "Your baby assaulted my daughter first, cut her hair off. I see the evidence right there in her hand." Victoria still clutched my severed ponytail like evidence in her own prosecution. "Is that a threat?" "Soldier boy," Mr. Sullivan puffed up, trying to match Dad's energy. "Marine, and it's not a threat. It's a promise. Your daughter terrorized mine for weeks. This ends now." Mrs. Sullivan made a fatal error. She looked at me with disgusted eyes and said, "Look at her, that white trash freak hair. She's probably on drugs. Test her. No normal person has hair like that." The room went silent. Even the injured kids stopped moaning. Patricia, 7 months pregnant, exhausted, dealing with complications, stepped forward. "White trash freak, listen here. You plastic surgery disaster. That's my stepdaughter you're talking about. That beautiful girl with a genetic condition she can't help. And you know what? At least her differences are natural, unlike whatever discount surgeon did to your face." Nobody saw that coming. Even I was shocked. Patricia defending me. "How dare you? No, how dare you raise a sociopathic bully who thinks genetic differences are something to mock your daughter learned her cruelty somewhere? And looking at you, I can see exactly where." Officer Martinez stepped between them. "Ladies, please, ma'am." He turned to Mrs. Sullivan. "We'll be testing your daughter's friends for DNA evidence on the scissors. This is assault with a weapon, conspiracy, and given the victim's documented disability, potentially a hate crime. Your daughter's looking at juvenile detention, not a lawsuit victory." The Sullivans deflated like punctured balloons, but they had one more card to play, and it involved someone I never expected to see again. 3 weeks later, juvenile court. I sat in uncomfortable clothes Patricia had bought me. She said my usual hoodies wouldn't make the right impression. My hair had been professionally fixed into a pixie cut that actually looked intentional. Dad sat on my left, my good ear side, Patricia on my right. Belly so big she barely fit in the courtroom seats. "All rise for Judge Elizabeth Chen." Wait. Chen, the judge entered, and I recognized the eyes immediately. Same intelligence, same quiet strength. Luna's mother. "I'll be recusing myself from this case due to personal involvement," Judge Chen announced. "Judge Martinez will be presiding. However, I'm here in a different capacity today." The courtroom doors opened again. Luna Chen walked in, MIT sweatshirt, confidence I'd never seen before, and a lawyer. "Your Honor," the lawyer announced, "my client is here to testify about Victoria Sullivan's pattern of behavior and provide evidence from multiple victims." Luna took the stand. Different girl from the one who'd been expelled. Stronger. "Your Honor, I've been collecting evidence on Victoria Sullivan for 2 years, after what she did to me. I made it my mission to document her abuse of others. She produced a binder 2 inches thick. 17 victims from her previous school. 3 attempted suicides, 2 eating disorders directly traced to her bullying. 1 girl who transferred to homeschooling and still has panic attacks. All willing to testify. The girl who'd attempted suicide at Victoria's old school was there. Pale, thin, but present. Her parents flanked her as she testified about the fake social media accounts, the photoshopped images, the systematic destruction of her reputation that Victoria orchestrated. She told me I'd be better off dead, the girl whispered, said the world would be prettier without me in it. I believed her. Her mother sobbed. Her father's knuckles were white on the rail. When it was my turn, Judge Martinez asked me to explain the force I used. Your Honor, I began, touching my short hair reflexively. They cut off my hair. In my mother's culture, she was Filipino, hair is sacred. She died 3 years ago from cancer. That hair was the last thing she ever touched with purpose. She braided it every night when I was little, sang to me in Tagalog. When Victoria cut it, she didn't just assault me, she desecrated my mother's memory. And your martial arts training, 10 years, 3 black belts, and a promise to my mother to never use it unless absolutely necessary. Never throw the first punch. When they took my hair, they took my mother from me again. That made it necessary. Victoria's lawyer tried to argue excessive force. Surely, Miss Peterson, 3 unconscious teenagers seems like an overreaction to a haircut. Dad stood up before I could answer. Permission to speak, Your Honor. Granted. I'm a Marine. 2 tours in Afghanistan. I've seen combat. What my daughter did wasn't excessive. It was controlled. She could have killed them. Anyone with her training could have. She didn't. She stopped each threat and moved on. That's not violence. That's precision. The verdict came down like thunder. Victoria Sullivan expelled. Criminal charges filed. 200 hours of community service at a disability advocacy center. Her parents were being sued by 3 families from her previous school. The settlements would be sealed, but rumors said 7 figures each. Samantha Morrison needed complete dental reconstruction. $20,000. She transferred to private school out of state. The twins got suspended, mandated counseling, and their college field hockey recruitments mysteriously disappeared. And me on self-defense ruling. No charges. Full scholarship offer to study biomedical engineering at Johns Hopkins. Turns out my essay about wanting to help kids with genetic conditions like mine caught attention. But the best part came 6 months later. I stood in the community center gym, teaching my Tuesday evening self-defense class. Free for anyone who looked different, felt different, was different. My silver pixie cut had grown into a stylish bob. Dad sometimes helped with the classes, teaching situational awareness. Patricia brought the baby, my little brother James, born with the same silver streak in his dark hair. Miss Hannah, a tiny voice piped up. 7-year-old Lucy, albinism making her sensitive to the bright gym lights, raised her hand. What if they hate me for being different? I knelt down to her level, remembering Mom doing the same for me so many years ago. Then you remind them that snowflakes are all different, and they're all beautiful. But sometimes, baby girl, snowflakes become avalanches. We're going to make sure you're ready to be both. Isa, Dalawa, Tatlo, I counted as the class practiced their kicks, my mother's language, my mother's counting, but my own voice now, strong and sure. I keep my severed ponytail in a memory box with Mom's pictures and her nursing pins. evidence that sometimes. To keep a promise about never throwing the first punch, you have to make damn sure your second punch counts. Victoria still emails me sometimes from her new school 3 states away. Apologies, mostly. Says she's in therapy, working on herself. Says her parents' divorce was a wake-up call. I don't reply. But I don't block her either. People can change. Luna Chen taught me that when she chose law over revenge. Total fight time 47 seconds. Damage inflicted $47,000 in medical bills. Lives changed, countless. Promises to Mom, kept all of them. Because Mom was right. These skills were never about fighting. They were about having the strength to protect what matters. And sometimes what matters is as simple as the right to exist exactly as you are. Silver hair and all. The community center door opens. Another kid walks in, hood up, shoulders hunched, carrying the weight of being different. I recognize the posture. I lived it. Welcome, I say, and I mean it. You're safe here. And for the first time in their life. Maybe they believe it. 1 in 40,000 people have Waardenburg syndrome. 1 in 4 students experience bullying. 4 in 4 humans deserve respect. The math is simple. The implementation is hard. But every revolution starts with someone saying, enough. Mine started with scissors and ended with hope. What will yours begin with? What will yours begin with? Sometimes late at night, I swear I can feel Mom's fingers in my shortened hair, hear her whisper in Tagalog that she's proud, that keeping a promise doesn't always mean following it literally, that protecting others is the highest form of love. My students count their kicks, isa, dalawa, tatlo. Mom's language living on in new warriors, each one learning that being different isn't weakness. It's power, waiting to be claimed. Victoria's ponytail attack set me free. Now I help others find their avalanche moment, because snowflakes are beautiful. But avalanches change the landscape forever.